Hey YouTube, first Airsoft video of 2021. Regardless of the impact of Canadian Bill C-21 on the future of Airsoft, I've decided to push forward with my Airsoft content and plans, unabated, at least for now, while I still can. What that means is today I've got an unboxing, semi-teardown product review kind of deal on a new Airsoft pistol for me. This isn't going to be a new to the market pistol per se, but at least it's my take on this particular one. So today on the bench we've got the EMG Tier 1 Utility Compact GBB pistol, which is effectively a Glock 19 variant. I've got the pistol in all black with a spare magazine, just so I can have comparison points. And not only am I going to look at the pistol, look at how it's built, materials of construction, and give my normal teardown style critique on it, I'm also going to test compatibility with WE style Glock 19 parts, because my old Glock 19 is worn out and tired after the last 4 to 5 years. So let's dive in. Okay, so outer packaging appears to be just a plain old fiberboard box, renewable packaging. Nothing too fancy, some text on the sides, barcode, some normal warnings, etc. And I guess legalese to cover their butts. Either way, that's the box. We have some accessories, fiber optic front and rear post sights, some hex head keys, Allen keys. We've got a magazine and the pistol itself, as well as a certificate of authenticity card. I'm covering up my serial number, so yeah. So the pistol itself comes in a plastic bag. Noticing that there's no silica gel, no volatile corrosion inhibitor. It's just a plastic bag that's not even sealed. Presumably, because this is Airsoft, your materials of construction are going to be less susceptible to corrosion. You're going to be talking about brass, talking about aluminum, die-cast zinc, and polymers. So you're less likely to have steel in there. I mean, probably your only steel is going to be some of your pins. Yep, that's steel, that's steel. So, I mean, you've got some either painted or blacked, is it blacking or bluing? Whatever the treatment is on those parts. It's the iron oxide layer that forms on those parts if they treat them with heat. Either way, we have the actual pistol itself, which looks pretty nice, but we're going to set that aside first. Talk about the rest of this box, because I don't see any sort of silica gel or volatile corrosion inhibitor. All we have is a what looks like a styrene tray, no recycling logos on it, so I guess their intention is that if you were to resell this, you would save the packaging anyways, so it's less of an issue to toss it out. Anyways, I'm going to put all this back in here. I'm going to take the magazine out and we'll look at everything on the bench. So functionally, this is just a Glock 19. It uses a Glock 19 compact-sized magazine. It's a Glock 19. It's got the same rail-mounted safety, secondary safety. It's got the same Glock-style trigger safety, same type of position on the slide lock, the takedown catch, and the fake ejector. This particular version, their Tier 1 Utility Compact, has textured but not stippled grip on the plastic body, as well as some texturing on the slide itself. As well on the top, we have some kind of cut for lightening the slide, as well as an RMR ready optic. In terms of the actual pistol itself, compared to I guess the cheaper standard of the WE, the footprint is about the same. The only major difference being on the WE, you've got some finger texture grip here and a relatively small magazine release, while on the EMG Tier 1 Utility Compact, you've got a larger and logo stamped SAI Salient Arms magazine release, a longer back strap, so I guess it gives a better grip and ergonomics if you've got beefy hands or a thick glove on. And I think this is more of a Gucci or luxury item. The grip itself is brass instead of just a polymer plastic, and it does come stock with I wouldn't really call it a flared magwell. I mean, that's a pretty flared magwell, but it is a little bit more streamlined and compact than this cheap thing I got off of the internet. Other than that, it's still got the under rail secondary safety, and it's got a similar style trigger group as my modified WE, where I replaced some parts inside the sear group as well as the trigger itself. In terms of the trigger, I don't have a proper scale to demonstrate trigger pull. There's the brake and the reset and the brake again. Here, there's the brake, there's the reset, and the brake again. This is ever so slightly more crisp than this one. However, I will note that I had to do some filing to get this aftermarket trigger to fit properly and function as a safety. Sometimes it gets bound up, which unfortunately means you're going to mess with your stability when you're actually trying to aim. Whereas the stock factory one seems to bind up just a little bit at the start. It's a little less smooth when it's in the fully extended forward position, but once you start moving, and it's not even necessarily the safety itself, it's just the travel of the trigger. You can see here I'm not even depressing the trigger safety, and it binds up a little at the start. So that would throw you off a little bit, but otherwise it's a smooth trigger. In terms of the other side, I don't think there's anything really to write home about. There's just a little bit more logo branding and Gucci stuff on this one compared to this one. Similar position for the pins, and it looks like it is roughly WE spec in terms of the magazine. So while we're on that topic, let's go talk about the magazine. The EMG SAI magazine looks almost identical to the WE, and in fact I will materialize a WE magazine. So WE on the right, EMG on the left. They look pretty much identical. From this side you can see the gas seals are quite different, but maybe they will still seal. There might be lower performance if you use this in the EMG, and I don't know if I can even get this to seat inside the WE. There's no BBs in here, so I'm going to do some test shots with the slide lock held down. In terms of the valves, they look otherwise stock. I've got just a little bit of laser engraving on here so I know which mags are mine. The magazine catch appears to be in the same position. Springs appear similar. You've got the same cutouts to allow loading of BBs towards the bottom. I have had to 3D print and replace the followers on all of my WE Glock magazines. So if this is WE spec, hopefully they used a better, less awful polymer for the follower, because every so often your finger slips and the follower shoots forward and it just snaps in half, and you end up with part of the follower in the spring and part of the follower just floating around. Otherwise, it looks almost identical, even down to the molding marks. You can just see in the light reflection the mold release pins. So I would imagine that if you break apart on one of these magazines, everything except the top seal you could probably replace with WE parts and vice versa. However, I would not necessarily guarantee that for the valve threading or the gas valve on the bottom. In terms of the base plate, you can see that the EMG plate is significantly wider than the Glock, or the WE spec magazine plate. And in terms of thickness, it looks as if the EMG plate is thicker, but there is a bit of a contoured ramp around the side here, whereas the WE is just flat. So there's more grippiness and other features, but I don't know how well that would actually translate to increases in handling performance. In terms of compatibility, I think it's time we do a test. So I've got some of my old green gas that I haven't used in a long time. Let's gas up this magazine. I don't hear any leaks, and gas up this magazine. And that one was quite a bit thirstier. Yeah, okay. So, I will note that my old WE is old and tired. I've had this for 4 years, 5 years now, and I've replaced parts on it, and it's getting a little tired. It hangs up on the slide hammer, or the hammer and the slide kind of hang up if you short stroke it or release it with very little force. I mean, if you power stroke it, it goes home just fine. Also, these are clear, no BBs in the magazine, and there is a safe direction in that direction. So I guess comparison shot, and this is going to be loud. I've got my WE. I'm going to do it this way so you can see. The EMG. Snappy. It's good. Now let's see if we can get these working with each other. I'm going to take the EMG, put a WE magazine in. Almost feels like it doesn't want to seat. Yeah. I mean, if you gently put it in, it feels like it wants to fall. Yep. Okay, so I guess that is one thing to note about the base plate. It is a bit thicker. I would imagine if you shave down the base plate of the magazine, you could get them to seat just fine. Either way. Noticeably softer with the WE magazine in the EMG pistol. And this may not fit because of the flared magwell. Yeah. I think we're going to have to take this base plate off. Just looks pretty much identical to your WE style magazine. Alright, it does seat and go home. That feels a lot stronger or more powerful in the WE than it does in, or this feels better compared to this. So the larger area inside that valve does seem to make a difference between these two magazines. In terms of compatibility, I would say as long as you're not running one of these big, goofy, flared magwells, you would be fine to use one magazine with the other, which is a bonus for me because I've already got WE magazines that will work in this. We'll see what the FPS performance is. I'll have to set up in a safe place at home to use the Crony and test the FPS when I use one magazine with the other. We'll try and do it in as controlled a fashion as possible, but I think that's going to be part 2 of the compatibility testing, because this is mostly a workbench and non-firing test. I will, however, note one thing. Extended magazine works with either. So I'm wondering if I can transplant EMG parts into my WE magazines to increase my WE magazine's performance. The seals are flat on both of them. The Tokyo Marui ones are a curved style seal, so these both are flat and they do work with each other, though it does seem like there's less gas performance coming out of the WE magazines than the EMG. I did buy a spare magazine from EMG, so in terms of more than, well, I guess sample size more than one, looks like there's no functional difference from one to the other, just need to gas it up. I do certainly like the feel. This flared magwell and the extra wide base plate don't really do anything for me because, I mean, how often do you actually pull with 2 fingers? If you're trying to do a, tactical reload, you're just gonna do that. So, I'm a little skeptical of this extra wide base plate, but it might help when you've got elastic pouches and you have to pull from the elastic pouch out. This is just a Velcro flap just so that I don't have, I guess, just to give it a little bit more reinforcement so I don't have the elastic pouch just kind of smacking against itself. Either way, I suppose that the extra wide base plate does give some better grip when you're trying to grab a magazine out from elastic chest rigs. So there is that working in its favor. Either way, if you have WE, that means you can move your magazines over to your EMG without too many issues. You would just have to do some modifications on your base plates. So technically, I have all of these magazines to just use with this. I could run pistol-only games, which is certainly nice. And I do like the trigger pull on this one more than this one. I would attribute it to age rather than quality of WE versus EMG. Alright folks, that's it for this comparison video of the EMG Tier 1 Airsoft gas blowback pistol versus a modified WE G19 gas blowback pistol. The next video will be about half an hour long, and it's the full teardown down to the component level of both pistols, just for comparison. Make sure to hit that notification bell, subscribe, so you can get the notification when that next video drops. Until then, peace out. My old WE Glock has a modified, I am losing my words today.